If you're asking the horse to carry a rider and his back is not rounded and he's not collecting, he's not carrying weight correctly, just like if you bend over, you're not picking up correctly. And just like you would develop back issues, the horse would develop back issues. Teaching the horse to carry himself correctly is really important to me, because that is the longevity of the horse and the health of the horse. This is Ophelia that Robert is getting on. I think we've had her here about a week. When the owner brought her here, supposedly she had been ridden, but she hadn't been ridden much, because you could tell when she walked off that she wasn't used to supporting weight, and she didn't know how to steer, didn't know how to stop, didn't know how to go. So that's what we've been working on in the last week with her. She is Rocky Mountain horse is what her breed is. As you see, Robert got on and we go right into the circles, just like we always do with every horse. We always want to make sure that we have the horse's attention on us. And at this stage with her, that's a big deal with her, to make sure that she is thinking about him. We got her out of the stall, did not lunge her, didn't do anything, any groundwork at all, just got her out the stall, saddled her up, and brought her out here and got on her. We want every horse to go to work mentally right from the beginning. We don't want to have to lunge a horse before we get on. We don't want to have to get on a horse and trot it down. We want the mind to be with us right from the beginning, and getting on and walking a couple of circles really goes a long ways towards accomplishing that. Now, as you see, he's letting her walk out bigger around the arena. She's developing some forward finally, and actually getting a little bit of rhythm to her. A lot of typical thing with a lot of young horses is their rhythm comes and goes depending on what they're looking at. If they're looking at something interesting they want to go to, they usually walk out a little bit faster. If they're going in a direction they don't want to go, they'll walk a little slower. So she is starting to develop a nice rhythm. She's striding behind good, and really walking out nice. This is going to be a nice horse. As you see, she's starting to steer nice. Her neck is relaxed. You can see where she's going to relax enough so that her gait will start to develop. We really haven't done much for that to develop the gait. We wanted a relaxed horse that would go in a straight line, steer, and have some rhythm first. That's what we always want to start with, correctness. We're not a big fan of getting on a horse and walk, trot, and lope the first ride. I know a lot of people do it that way, and there's nothing wrong. A lot of good trainers do it that way. That's just, we want to develop correctness, and we'll speed up as we get the correctness. And she is developing into a nice horse. As you see, she's chewing on the bit just a little bit. That's totally normal. Nothing wrong with her feed. It's not that she don't like the bit. She is just learning how to pack that bit and learning how to steer off of it. We have just swapped the reins from the halter to the bit, and because she learned how to give her head with pulling on the halter, then it's pretty simple, an easy transition for her to learn to give her head and steer off of the bit. A lot of people see a horse mouthing a bit and think automatically that the horse don't like the bit, and it has nothing to do with whether a horse likes or don't like. It's all a matter of the horse softening to the bit and the horse learning to carry himself in frame. A lot of people will stay riding off the halter for a really long time, and what happens is the horse will start to develop muscles carrying weight and moving forward, but the muscles aren't really correct to carry and go forward in frame. You see us working a lot. We'll go pretty quick to getting a little bit of leg yield, getting a little bit of collection, and we want to do that off of the bit so that as the horse develops muscles carrying the rider, the muscles are in the right place with the horse's back rounded and collected nice, framed up nice, and not carrying himself inverted. I was just watching a video on YouTube this morning of another trainer working a horse and working the canter in the halter, and that the horse back was inverted, the head was up, really carried himself poorly, and that can lead to lots of medical issues later. It'll lead to some sore back, leg issues, sore muscles, because it's kind of like they say when we lift up weight, we're supposed to bend at the knees and not bend over. And if you're asking the horse to carry a rider and his back is not rounded and he's not collecting, he's not carrying weight correctly, just like if you bend over, you're not picking up correctly. And just like you would develop back issues, the horse would develop back issues. And teaching the horse to carry himself correctly is really important to me, because that is the longevity of the horse and the health of the horse. Right there, she was wanting to go back out towards the pasture, and Robert steered to the left, and she kind of gaped her mouth a little bit because she didn't want to steer. That had nothing to do with not liking the bit. That was all about willingness to steer. Taking the bit away and riding off the halter does not change that horse's willingness to steer. And that is what we're working on developing with her right now. This is going to end up being a really nice horse. We've had her out of here and ridden her in the back and getting her to go someplace. And that little thing like not wanting to steer, that's really about the worst thing that she does. She never has acted like she wanted to get rid of us. She just sometimes wants to do her thing, which is pretty common with a young horse. That's not a big deal. That's just mental self-discipline. That has to be developed. And that's why I'm not a big fan of waiting until horses are older to start. This work that we're doing with her right now is not physically hard, but it's teaching her the mental self-discipline that she's going to need later in her life. And if we don't teach this now while her mind is at this age, we end up with other issues later. It's not a matter of physically being hard, and that's why we don't want to trot and lope right away. It's about training the mind. Train the mind, the body's going to follow. So if you want to talk to me about sending your horse for training, you can contact me at rideslide@hotmail.com, and we can talk about either getting your horse started or getting your horse further along in training. If you have a horse that you want to get in cow horse training or ready to show ranch riding, ranch trail, that kind of thing, shoot me a message and we'll talk about it. So this is Ophelia that Robert is on, and I'll have a link to her other videos in her playlist. Until next time, thank you for watching.